Shalom. I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well. And as always, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Now, Esau is the last motherfucker, excuse my language, that you are to put trust in a time of adversity. All right. Esau is a shady MFer. He ain't shit. And Ukraine should have known, but they were so caught up in the hype, of thinking that the West has their best interests when really they were just being used as a pawn. Now we know the scriptures say in Psalms the 108th chapter in the 12th verse, give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. In other words, curse be they who trust in man that make a flesh his arm. And now Ukraine got to learn the hard way. All right. And don't even realize that they were being used, as a pawn in the West's game. All right. Instead of actually, playing as a line of defense for Russia, which is right there, right next door to you, you want to take sides with the enemy on the opposing side. So this is the consequence that they're dealing with. Now, before I play this clip, because you got the Ukraine president coming out and pretty much voicing his disapproval on why they're being left hanging, they're being left to dry and abandoned now that they're being attacked. Well, the warning signs was already there. You look at the West and you look at the past, relationships, the past, uh, negotiations and pacts that's been made, the different treaties that have been broken. Why would you still trust this devil? So before I play this, I want to play this right here. The elder brother Rakhaya Kwam, because I was watching this yesterday, and he pretty much said it. Brother was right on point with what he said concerning Ukraine's misguided trust for the West. All right. Now, where your homies at? Where are they to back you? So let's listen to this real quick. The brother was, totally on point. So let's listen real quick, and then we're gonna play what the president said.
Our tree. But as you can see right now, America and them man have got no intention. You see, listen, if they were gonna start World War Three, you don't play with World War Three. You get ahead of it. You get ahead of the game. You hit man and you hit man fast and hard. You don't play with it. Right now they're playing with it. Oh, the sanctions, this, that, and the other. Basically, America has proven one thing, that they can't be trusted. They've used these Ukrainians and they tried to run a program. And when the program didn't work, they didn't back up their mans. They left these men high and dry, and Russia's gonna deal with these dudes. These guys, these American puppets that have been over there in Ukraine doing the most, yeah, moving like they're real bad people. When them Russians catch up to them, is two options: Siberia or the grave, and that's what's gonna go down. And where's America going to be? My man Biden and them are in America wishing them well, which proves to the world one thing: don't ally with America, because they're not going to back you up. You're a pawn, and they'll sacrifice you just like that.
Hmm. Shady. Esau ain't shit, but that's the God honest truth. All right. So now Ukraine got to deal with the harshness of that reality. All right. Let me get a quick scripture. Proverbs 25. Let me go there real quick. Now you've been played. You played yourself. Proverbs 25 and 19, it says, confidence in an unfaithful man in the time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. And so now, you're at a disadvantage, all right, and you pretty much are not really equipped like that to be able to fight this fight with such an opponent, somebody that's like literally close in range to you. Why would you do that to yourself? And I think there's a scripture, I don't know if it's an apocrypha or not, but it basically talks about basically don't fight with somebody that's more mightier than thee. Let me see if I can find that. See if I can I know it's in the apocrypha. Let me see real quick. No, that's not it. Let me see. Yeah, bear with me. I thought I knew where it was at. This might be it. Let me see. So Rock 28 and 9. It says a sinful man disquieteth friends and maketh debate among them that be at peace. And that's Esau all the way. He's a man of the sword, and he's constantly taking away peace from the earth. Causing all type of strife. All type of disturbance, turbulence. Making wars, destroying relationships, all for his benefit, all for his gain. And that's why the world is beginning to despise this devil, man. You becoming more and more despised among the heathen, as it says in prophecy. More and more people are paying attention. They got their eyes closed upon you. This is what you're doing. You turn very friends into enemies, man. Look what happened with the Koreans, in the past. All right, Pakistan and India. Great Britain did that. It says, as the matter of the fire is, so it burneth, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth, and the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. That's damn, that's not it. But basically, common sense to tell you, don't try to uh seek contention with somebody that's more richer and more mightier or stronger than you are, man. And they know that they would not have a fair fight without the backing of NATO and America, because not even NATO can fight Russia on its own. They need the backing of the Great Whore. But what happened? Sleepy Joe was like, just that's terrible what you're doing, and I'm gonna make it sound good, but I'm gonna slap sanctions on you. You know, they ain't moved by that shit, man. So now they're getting attacked. They're getting invaded. Russia is Russia is rolling in on them, man. All right. Now, with friends like America, who really needs enemies, man? Even what's his name said it. Was it Henry Kissinger? I think he said, to be an enemy of America can be dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal. All right, that's a literal quote from freaking Henry Kissinger, man. So let's listen to this real quick.
And in a midnight address, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country was left alone to fight Russia after the Kremlin launched a full-scale invasion. Also warned that Russian sabotage groups had entered the capital, urged residents to be vigilant and observe curfew rules. Listen in.
І друге, ми залишаємось наодинці у захисті нашої держави. Хто готовий воювати разом з нами? Чесно, не бачу таких. Хто готовий дати Україні гарантію вступу до НАТО? Чесно, всі бояться.
Beyond is now available in your...
That's all bad. That's all bad. And I mean it's so bad because you know they were assured that they were going to be given, you know, aid. You know, we saw that America was deploying troops, thousands of troops over there. But what for? Because they ain't really intervene into this invasion. Putin is carrying on with it, and so far as it's been a success. Okay, and now the people are fleeing the country, and they're declaring martial law. And right now, orders are being taken right now to ensure the defense of the state. So what they're doing right now is, from the Ukraine's interior ministry, they're banning men between the ages of 18 and 60 from leaving the country. So if you're able-bodied and you're between the ages of 18 and 60, you got to stay on the front lines because it's not enough military. They're outgunned, they're out militarized. Okay, Russia got them beat. All right, more active personnel, more paramilitary forces, more aircraft, more helicopters, tanks, naval fleets. So it's going to be a one-sided fight because they expected this help that they're not getting. So now the regular citizens that are not in the military, they're being ordered to stay behind. So they might have to, you know, have weapons and all that. But see, the West knew what they were doing with the propaganda because you know, you saw them putting pictures out of, you know, old women, old ladies holding guns. You know, you saw all that propaganda happen right before this took place. Putting, you know, prop guns in their hands and taking the pictures, you know, making it seem like it was just, you know, but they already told you, you know, once the deals were made, what was going to happen. All right, they came to the table a few times and there was no common ground. So now look what's happening. But we know that this is all, you know, part of the, you know, the algorithm. The Mossad is stirring things up, and also he's causing these things to happen in the sight of the nation, so the nation can see that this great war is definitely something to be hated. Nobody trusts this whore. All right, it's gonna make these other nations not want to do deals or have any pacts with America, man. Look how they do their own so-called allies who they will try to prop up because they got some common interests. They're just using you like a pawn. They was going to use you to get closer to Russia and to use it as a ground for you know, a military base to hold their weapons and to flex on Russia. It's all a strategic posture that they were trying to take by using Ukraine. So Russia wasn't going for it. So now, real quick, I want to go into this article because remember about a month ago, you know, we was touching on this situation before it actually happened. they were supposed to come to an agreement, and on January 10th, you know, they didn't come to no agreement. So it was already it was set off. It was owned from that point. And then Putin pulled a pump fake where they was basically saying, "All right, we finna pull out. The troops, we all withdrawn. We leaving." Only to find out just a couple of days after that, they just started invading. He waged that military operation upon them because hey, the Lord's putting them hooks into the jaws of Magog. They ain't finna try to recover those old Eastern Bloc countries back. They're not finna allow NATO to take any further expansion. So I had left this article because that was what I was going into in this video, and I want to pull it back up because now it makes all the sense in the world now. Okay, and this was posted January 10th, 2022. So this was over a month ago. Ukraine and US backed Russia into a corner. All right, now let's jump down real quick. And when you read this now, because I read it back then, but now reading it, man, this shit is ether, man. It's etherous. That ether, that shit that make your soul burn slow. So it says, Ukraine has always been an integral part of Eastern Europe with close ties to Russia, and its knee-jerk reaction to distance itself from Russia and side with the West after the collapse of the USSR was a disastrous mistake. Its 3 decades of existence and continued courting of the West have simply led to a calamitous situation for the country and its people. The West has sold it a bill of goods, and its stubborn determination to seek strong ties with a Western country and culture that has no interest in its well-being is a disaster waiting to happen. And the West has always been unilateral, always been, self-centered when it came to their policies and different negotiations. It's always based on their terms because this is the great whore that rides the beast that has power over the world right now. And it's been that way you know, for a few centuries now. Okay. So you're seeing the shady business of how the West gets down, and they always got down like that. They don't have no interest outside of their own covetousness. It tells you that in Habakkuk, the second chapter, that he increaseth that which is not his. He wants all the control of the land and resources that come with it. That's what he wants. That's what his interest is. So he'll play friends and act like there's peace and be diplomatic with you when he sees something that you're sitting upon that he wants. He has an evil covetousness, man. It says that in Habakkuk 2 that he can never be satisfied. All right, and they should have known. It says such blind trust in the U.S. and NATO is a simpleton's approach to a delicate situation, which required a completely different approach. Instead of seeking bonds with the West, which have led nowhere except to the edge of catastrophe, Ukraine should have long ago given away to its hatred of its Slavic Russian brothers and built a strong fence between them with continued neighborly ties. Its future would then have been stabilized, and a strong trading relationship would have led to security and peace in the region. You see, that makes perfect sense. And the West would not have, posture over there against them. Now it's just nothing but turmoil and conflict now. Because they gave in to the West, devices. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. It says, but having taken this perilous Western road, this is no turning back. Since Ukraine has chosen to nurture its continued hatred and thrown its lot in with the West, the country has been led down the garden path with useless, costly weapon purchases and made itself a future battleground for NATO and the West. Ukraine now has a bleak future, which is to be expected after aligning itself with the Western powers, whose only interest is to destroy Russia and steal its vast resources for its own gain. All right, let me read this last part right here. It says Ukraine has blindly become the enabler of such a heinous scheme and now will suffer the horrific consequences of its poorly thought out actions and fateful decisions. As individuals, we are responsible for our personal choices and actions and the resultant consequences, both pleasant and unpleasant. And for sovereign countries like Ukraine, the same principle applies. Yeah, man. So they brought this upon themselves, man. I'll read this part too. It says Ukraine's errant affiliation and childlike trust in the West have now put them in a critical situation, and the consequences of their poor choices are about to come to a sad conclusion, as we're seeing it play out right now. Russia is tearing their ass up right now. You see, tanks running over cars and people. You know, the citizens hiding and streaming live, crying, screaming. It tells you that in Jeremiah about Babylon, how they would be born to fight. They would become like women. They would be terrified. You know, they got to hide under debris and, in basements and, shelters, hearing them alarms and, you know, all type of, sounds go off, bombs. It says when Ukraine's Western masters fail in their attempts, its people will soon see the catastrophic destruction it has brought upon itself in the error of its ways, but such a realization will be far too late for redemption. So they already said it, man. This was posted a month ago. So it's interesting to see how everything is unfolding and being brought out. But this is also exposing the West. Now America's shame is being seen as the scriptures say. Let's get that. Now it's known that you're not to be trusted, like the brother said. Isaiah 47:3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. And that's why America's gonna get set up. All these nations are gonna eventually hate this whore and come against her, even her own allies. You see, because those other NATO countries, they're following the leadership of Babylon. So yeah, they're gonna completely despise this devil. All right, now real quick, let me get this in Apocrypha, because you're not supposed to be so quick to give credit. All right, Sirach 6, yeah, Sirach 6 and 7, it says, if thou wouldest get a friend, you know, partner, ally, somebody you can trust, prove him first and be not hasty to credit him. And that's what Ukraine did. For some man is a friend for his own occasion. All right. And that was mentioned in that article. They only want you for their own benefit. They only want to be peaceful with you and act like they're helping you because they want something out of the deal. We want to occupy your land so we can get closer to Russia. We want to control that region over there. We want to stop them from, you know, being restored to that old USSR spirit. They basically said we can't let that happen. So we got to be cool with Ukraine and seduce them and present them with the possibility of being ignited into the NATO alliance. Then hey, as soon as Russia responded to that with aggression, what happened with their partners? What happened? What happened with the West? Now you fighting alone, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. That's crucial. All right. And then let's jump down to 10. It says, again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction. But in thy prosperity he will be as thyself and will be bold over thy servants. If, yeah, man. If thou be brought low, he will be against thee and will hide himself from thy face. Separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends. All right. And they're not being a strong defense for you. It says that right there in the next verse. A faithful friend is as a strong defense. And he that have found such a one have found a treasure. You ain't gonna find no treasure, not in Babylon the Great. All right. She's out for self. So this is what they get, man. So and I just want to cover that, man. It goes to show you that this devil, he ain't shit, man. All right. Somebody you could never trust. Horrible. So with that, call Lawyer Bashmi Al Shai. Shalom.